Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to the ArchCast, where today we are going to talk about massive disappointments. And for once, I'm not speaking about Kyle, but about Tish.
Right in the feels. That's true. We're talking about an even bigger disappointment than me. Guess there's
We
someone.
have several large disappointments right now, actually.
I know. Kind of tragic.
No, I don't know about tragic. I choose to view it as lessons learned for an adoring general public. It's much more positive and forward-looking, I find.
Yes, a very progressive mindset, if you'll say.
Very. We will probably, we'll see if we won't touch a little bit on the current goings-ons in certain nations nearby as well. But we did do the spicy news last week, so it would be churlish of us to do that twice in a row, wouldn't it? Yes, it would.
Yeah, churlish.
I might begin accusing us of being clickbaity little nonsense, and we can't have that.
We gotta mix it up. We gotta keep, what's the word?
Subverting expectations.
Yeah, subverting expectations.
That's what we need to do. All right, so this last week, plus change, considering Total War Warhammer 3, we actually had a couple of very major game releases. And honestly, we've had a lot of major game releases recently, and they've been really kind of awful. Like, we had Battlefield 2042, and everyone, myself included too, was like, oh, hey, look at this. It looks like we're actually returning to the good old days of Battlefield. Holy shit. Are they actually listening to the people who play their video games? What a weird and unusual strategy in this day and age. Turns out that no, that was a clever ruse, is what that was.
Yep. And it was followed up by another clever ruse with Halo preaching that it was returning to form, and then it came out, and initially people were like, it's better than Battlefield, and then the slow realization that that they were also bamboozled.
Yes. It's tragic, almost. And then, of course, came Warhammer 3, which I've been very negative to Warhammer 3 since the get-go, because I've played 1, I played 2, and I've defended 1 a great deal in saying that, yeah, it's very basic, it's very back to basics for Total War, but with a brand new formula, the introduction of lots of new stuff like magic, etc., that might not be the worst idea. You know, make sure that you can deliver a product first and then think on how you can improve upon it. The problem is now, almost a decade later, we should have seen some of those improvements at some point, and well, CA doesn't seem particularly interested in providing them. Instead, they seem to have learned the opposite lesson from Total War Warhammer, namely that, hey, we can actually release this game 3 times for $60 a pop. And that is why we are now getting Total War 3 Kingdoms 2, which is only, I think, the second worst title for anything ever.
I know. And the worst part is 3 Kingdoms 1 started to trick me with the, I don't know who the creative director was for that one, but they managed, like, you remember the launch. The launch was such a disappointment, and I think everybody universally was just very meh about it or didn't like it. And the guys behind doing the content updates, the free patches and stuff like that, and the DLC were actually polishing it up and eventually started adding a lot to it. And it was like, I'm coming around to it. And right as I start coming around to it, right as they announced that, oh, we're going to add, Korea, we're going to expand the map and actually add multiple cultures and turn it to basically Asia Total War, then they flip-flopped on that and were like, actually, pulled the plug on it. Some corporate
and it was so sudden, too. Like, They were like, okay, we've got DLC, look, we're removing the map and shit, and people were like, oh my god, Korea, and suddenly, out of nowhere, it's like, yeah, so we're not making any more content for this.
We're pulling the plug, actually, and it's like, wait, so the game you're pulling the plug on, the game you still haven't gotten to the 3 Kingdoms part of yet. The game's name is a literal lie. So,
They had some irrelevant, like they started with DLC that seemed like, okay, they're gonna go way back in time. All right, okay, it's a bit of a weird choice, but all right, there's some hope there. Their first DLC was extraordinarily meh. Then they started doing the Nunmun DLC, which was actually, if nothing else, it was interesting because it did take the game in a very different direction, which was also one of my big complaints about Three Kingdoms, namely that it's even less unit variety than Shogun, which is impressive. But we're heading back in time now, of course, as today was Total War Warhammer, and everyone was super excited, to the point where nobody cared about the fact that they were doing everything they said they wouldn't. You know, they're selling unit packs again. They don't care about that. They're selling power, de facto. The multiplayer still has no content whatsoever. It's just a goddamn versus mode. They released it without workshops. They released it without Mortal Empires. It was blatantly buggy, untested, basically unfinished. And we all kind of knew this. We all pretty much knew this was what was going to happen. But before it actually happens, there is no point in pointing it out, because you'll just be shouted down. It's the hilarity of our current situation where you're like, hold on, they've done this every time. Why should we believe that they'd suddenly get better now? But they promised us, though.
The problem is like there is talent in CA. Problem is it's wasted because corporate suits make them do the most greedy crap imaginable, which is a real shame because all that talent doesn't matter. Because I can't remember where they're ranked, but I know a while ago Creative Assembly was voted like one of the best places in the industry to work at. I think in Britain, as far as game developers go. I'm not sure about worldwide. Just had a lot of great benefits, and they have a lot of talent behind them. It's just much like Electronic Arts, which also has a lot of talent behind them. But the people in charge are sadly talentless.
Well, there's one of those questions too. Like they've got a lot of this great talent. Where is it hiding? It would be my question.
I mean, you can still see the talent. Like I see the talent in the art direction. Creative Assembly's art department has exploded, especially when it comes to just the general painting and art direction of things. Especially if you look at the Total Warhammer 2, right? A lot of the paintings they have for each unique faction, for events and pop-ups, it's very well done. It's very consistent. It's very good. It added a lot of new Warhammer fantasy art all around the block, which is hilarious. We point at Total Warhammer 3, because if you play this game and you take a settlement, for instance, where is the art? And like what you said, where is the talent? Where did all that artwork go? Because it's just a bunch of reusable, recyclable assets. Almost looks like placeholders, doesn't it?
Well, it might very well have been placeholders, because Total War Warhammer 3 was already on a lot of overtime, because the original plan seemed to be like release Total War Warhammer 1, then wait a year or two, and start hyping it up within a year, then release the next one. And 3 has taken a very long time. I don't know why, but if I were to be conspiratorial, which I am, then I'd suggest what probably happened was that practically all of the team got yanked off Total War Warhammer 3 and put on their next fantasy title, basically. And so they just had to make do with whatever dregs were left. And that is why we now have a game that, despite being the third release in the series now, still has all of the bugs, all of the issues, all of the problems, all of the performance problems of the previous games. And all they really added was settlement battles. Like, that was the big thing, settlement battles. Because they didn't add naval battles, they didn't add proper siege battles. All they really did was unlock the rest of the map they'd already modded to be playable.
That's true. All they did unlock was settlement battles and a very god-awful Magic Towers game mode where you can spawn magic towers and stuff like that with magic abstracted supply resources, which points generate. Like, why couldn't they just take the system they applied in Attila and Three Kingdoms, where you get pre-placeable defensive structures, and then you have to roll with those instead of just magically erecting these structures and things. It's like, oh, like, excuse me, let me just build a cannon tower that can shoot halfway across the map. God, it's remarkably
Whilst
bad.
in battle, just because, I'm guessing it's just another part of their general casualization, but it adds very little. It's a faction pack, essentially. It's a goddamn faction pack for another $60. And of course, there's going to be multiple other faction packs on top of this faction pack. We're paying for a DAC delivery system at this point.
Basically, yes. It's like I remember their PR campaign when we actually did the first podcast, like 2016, where the creative director was the creative director. I can't remember. He said something along the line like, "It'll be like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. You'll buy this game and it'll be complete the game." Well, when he said that, I think everyone was kind of hoping and expecting that, oh, these will be like entire games. And this, at the end of the day, this will be the biggest Total War experience we've ever had. All we really have is $60 faction packs. This isn't the biggest Total War experience we've ever had. Most of the cities, if you look at if anyone remembers when Arch and I did those podcasts, we actually looked at the siege maps in Total Warhammer 1 and 2 and actually found that yes, they're unique like for the factions when it comes to the aesthetic and background, but there's actually only like 8 or 9 layouts, and they're all copy and pasted between them. Here is actually a kind of a somewhat repeat, where some of the actual layouts of settlements are also just the same layouts repasted for certain cultures. But there are some unique ones, like there were some for the chaos and stuff like that. But it's just so lazy. Like, wow, we're paying premium out of date AAA pricing, $60, absurd. They're not shipping boxes. They're not, printing and manufacturing and distributing anything. We're paying $60 for a digital product, which is absurd in itself, for less content than we would have gotten for Medieval 2 or any other older Total War. Hell, even Rome 2 had more content in it, which is tragic, and that game was a disaster.
And therein comes that whole idea. It was like, okay, you'll buy pieces of a puzzle. Like you said, a lot of the assumption there was that it would be the best. It was to be the biggest and the best. And that was their excuse as well. They were constantly saying that, okay, we couldn't afford to make this game if we didn't piece it up a bit. And at first, I too was defending them. I was like, okay, like it's going to be a very, very massive game. It takes a while to build it up, kind of in the style of a Paradox game, taking a very long time to build up. There is an argument to be made there. The problem is that they never actually delivered on any of that. This is not the biggest Total War game ever. In fact, it is observably smaller than Medieval 2 by a massive degree. And they're now releasing smaller and smaller expansion packs. Like, you could compare Total War Warhammer 2 to Total Warhammer Kingdoms, and it's a very, very unfair comparison. Now we got Total War Warhammer 3, the one that took the longest to develop, that was supposed to be the biggest, the grand finale, and it compares even more poorly. Like, we've had no advancement, almost. The few mechanics that have been added have been fairly basic.
And on top of that, poorly done. Let us talk a little bit about the multiplayer campaign, which is a brilliant idea to expand the multiplayer campaign, but they have absolutely failed at doing it. Like, it is an absolute disappointment. Everything about it's messed up. The simultaneous turns don't work. If a player is defeated, what happens to the player? Can they still participate in the multiplayer campaign if you have 7 or 8 people? No, they're ejected from the game. They can't even spectate, watch, or assume the role of a pre-existing faction. That is horrendous. You want to know why? Because I've asked most people that have done these larger multiplayer campaigns, and the general consensus, when a player is defeated, what do? Do you continue playing without them and just kick them from the call? No, they restart the campaign.
Yep.
So
that's kind of the point of
they don't
playing
want to leave
with
a friend behind. They don't want to leave a friend behind. So the multiplayer campaign it works against itself because you can't keep playing. If your friend gets just really unlucky or gets his ass kicked and beat out of the game, he's wiped out of the game. He can't like watch. He can't participate. He can't help control your units or armies or share your anything. Like he's just ejected from the game. Period. And that was actually the big deal breaker for the multiplayer mode, because we had to force it for ourselves because we couldn't. Like, no matter how bad Fairman was, he just kept not dying. So we had to force ourselves to kill ourselves, basically. But that was a huge disappointment, because the multiplayer, increasing the amount of players, was a brilliant move. Like, I think the most fun I've had with the game was when we streamed it together, Arch, and when we started fucking with each other in the battles. Like, that was about it. Everything else was kind of boring, wasn't it?
Yep. Because it's just the same Total War experience, except now occasionally you need to interrupt your own turn because somebody pressed a button. And that was the other thing too. Simultaneous turns, in theory, yes, until somebody else presses something, at which point your screen freezes and you cannot enter menus, you cannot click buttons, you cannot look at anything. It just stops.
Absolutely correct. We even had a brief suggestion where we all came up with this on stream, where what they should have done for the battles is it should be done in phases. If my army intercepts Arch's army, or an AI army, it should lock that army in place, and that should be like, that is a battle, but that shouldn't interrupt anybody's turn. And once everybody's hit end turn, the game should then cycle through the battle phase of processing all the battles one by one. That's how that should be done. Because then everyone can do their turn without being constantly interrupted.
It's very frustrating.
Yes. Simultaneous turns my ass.
Like, they didn't really think it through. And you can also tell that they didn't really test it much. You can see the YouTubers who got early access to it. They're all like, oh, the networking is just great. Yeah. I wonder if that might have something to do with the fact that you're literally the only ones playing right now.
Yep. Not to mention they're gonna charge us for blood and gore again, and it's another one of those things where it's like $4 to charge for blood and gore. And is it ever done right? Well, I can't say for 3, but every time we get the blood and gore packs, the blood just squirts randomly. It's not even like synced up. There's no real kill animations for it to make use of. It's not like they're putting much effort into it, and it really just feels like it should be a toggleable feature rather than being forced to happen.
Once more, we get into that whole backwards evolution. The Blood and Gore pack in Shogun 2 was not at all bad. Bearing in mind that was the first one, right? The synchronization was awful. Like, you would see a dude 5 meters to the left stabbing the air, and another guy would just go, ah, die.
Yep.
But at least there was dismemberment, there was a decent little variety, and there was some really cool animations. Like, my favorite is still the charging cavalry that throws their spears into guys and then fetches them again as their bodies are reeling. Like, that is goddamn
See,
beautiful.
everyone's got a favorite, and I kind of still like Hans's favorite, which I've kind of adopted as mine, which I finally saw. It's where your line of riflemen are being charged and follow samurai, and one of the riflemen throw their rifles.
Yep.
And it impales the dude,
the
and then goes up and pulls it out of him, and it's like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yep.
that's so funny.
The ninjas too, because the ninjas have unique kill animations because they're ninjas.
Ninjas, yeah.
And that's cool. That is actually cool. But all right, then it came in Rome 2, and the synchronization was a little bit better, but all of the cool animations were gone. All of them. There was nothing creative or interesting. You didn't have any hoplites doing any like jumping Achilles attack or something bullshit. It was just boring. And then they have it in Total Warhammer, and in that case, it's not even blood and gore. It's not even kill animations, because of course they've removed all of the animations. Just another major feature of Total War that's been there since Medieval 2, ripped out because CA is goddamn lazy. So now, all you're paying for is random spurts of really thick, ketchupy blood just flying out there for no perceivable reason.
Don't you love the part when like units are fighting, you scroll in when you get the blood and gore pack for Total Warhammer 1? I remember looking at that. And like an orc swung his little choppa, half-heartedly, because He's, swinging the general direction of an enemy soldier. And then the Imperial soldier's head just sort of rolls off, and then he flops to the ground. None of these weapons made contact with each other. He just falls over dead, and then, sometimes they hit in the right direction. It's like, oh, it's close. It almost would have hit him. Oh my god. Attila had some interesting animations on top of Rome 2, but it basically reused a lot of Rome 2 stuff. So they had that to work with.
One of the good improvements with Attila is that people stopped stabbing with axes. Because that was another example of how lazy CA was. In Rome 2, they would just stab with their axes. And clubs too, yeah.
Yes. That's right, the club. I just remember the club animation where, in Rome 2, the barbarian with a club, stabbed it through, one of my Roman dudes' chest. I'm like, that's a really powerful stab. That's
Yep.
One hell of a thrust.
And okay, the chat brings up that point too. It's not like Medieval 2. And the thing is, why do we keep comparing it to Medieval 2? It's because Medieval 2 is the gold standard. That's why. Medieval 2 is the best game in the Total War series, and we should reasonably expect, as the price of the games remained the same, $60, full price video games, and with all of the technology, the fact that CA is a much vaster studio, has much more experience, we should expect better products. This is one of the greatest errors of our current generation.
I know.
In that we just accept that we get worse and worse products, and we just
not only accept it, but defend it. There's nothing worse than accepting a mediocre product than the people that defend that. And that's something that I remember you got into an argument with your buddy V. V is a good lad. But V was definitely wrong, and he's one of the new people to the franchises. He has never played Total War games, that much, and this is his first entry, and he made a video about it, sort of lashing out at you. But then, he basically conceded the point in the end. So even V wasn't able to actually maintain his point because he bent the knee to the march. Skull Gnasher, Squint Eyes as a person in chat.
He did indeed bend the knee. He did. Absolutely.
It's over, Skull Gnasher. Even your champion has failed you. All right.
He had to bend down. He had to bend down, and he had to take it. And again, the problem is, everyone was so happy with Total War Warhammer 3. It's like, oh my god, it's going to be so great. There's no indication that it's going to be particularly great. The only indication is that at best, it's going to be Total War Warhammer 2 with some new factions. And now it's sitting on mixed. And you know what? I've really goddamn enjoyed that fact. I really enjoy that fact. Now, a great deal of it also did have to do with China, because Creative Assembly handed out keys to a bunch of people who just were not interested in the game. Just a lot of Chinese streamers who had never played Total War before, could not care less about Total War as a franchise, had no understanding of the setting or the anything, basically. And they were angry about that. Because, these were a lot of people over there, a lot of consumers who were interested. They wanted to see this game, and now they have it spoiled to them by some chuckle fuck who doesn't give two shits about this. It's bad marketing. And you know what? You can say that it's petty. It's it's petty, you little Chinaman. How dare you? It's just a PR stunt. You should just accept it. Maybe we should accept less. Maybe that's the lesson we should take from this. Instead of the Chinese accepting more, maybe we should accept less. Maybe our standards should increase instead of their standards decreasing.
No, you're not wrong. We should. Video games as a medium have evolved, right? You couldn't release a game like you could in the 90s today and be applauded for it in regards to its user interface and controls, because we've moved past those things. We've evolved as an industry. Our games are now more intuitive, generally speaking. There's things like tooltips, which was a revolutionary feature at one point. These things exist for a reason because we've made strides forward.
Mm-hmm. We used to do things that were beneficial and positive. Then we decided enough of that. There are other dumber things to be done.
It's true.
I haven't. Nope, I think the Chinese were right on that. I really do. I have a couple of problems with the Chinese government. I shan't lie, one or two minor disagreements. But Chinese people strike me as remarkably based, and they are allowed to remain based.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the Chinese people, only the Chinese government, so to speak.
And then, of course, there's Elden Ring, the second part of our little
disasters.
Yes. Because Elden Ring 2 was a game that was set up for absolute unquestioning success. You know, it was the next Elder Scrolls game. Yes. It was the next Elder Scrolls games. Absolutely.
Totally.
I'm just gonna double down on this now. It was next Elder Scroll games. And everyone was looking forward to it. It was going to be amazing. FromSoft could do no wrong. It releases, and everyone's looking at it. Why does it run like absolute garbage? Because every single FromSoft game, with the possible exception of Sekiro, has run like absolute goddamn garbage. Because they actually don't care about the PC at all.
Yeah, which is sad.
But the thing is, we shouldn't accept that. There's no reason why we should accept that. There's no reason why we should go like, oh, this runs like crap. Thank you. No, we should complain about that. And furthermore, too, right? I will admit too, my admission here, I haven't played it yet. I'm saving it up a little bit until I'm done with a couple other games. But I was watching Kyle play through this, and it is the most Elder Scrolly, I'm going to triple down on this, Dark Soul game I have ever seen. Like, the font's the same, the presentation's the same, the attack animation is the same, the story's goddamn the same. I was teaching Kyle concepts I learned in Dark Souls 1.
And they were actually helping me here, yes. Like, because I'm not familiar with these games, he's just explaining to me how Dark Souls works, and by doing that, I've learned how to play Elden Ring. After the stream, I created a new character with the knowledge Arch had imparted upon the kid, and all of a sudden, the game was less infuriating. I wasn't as struggling, and I was like, wait, I understand this game now. It's very, very strange. And the best part is, everybody that I've showed this to, and I'm not an expert because I haven't played that many Dark Souls games at all, a lot of people are like, hey, isn't that animation? Hey, isn't that sound effect? Like, all this, like, one of the big complaints this game is also getting is it's lazy. It's recycled a lot of materials from the previous Dark Souls games and reused them lazily, which is not a good sign.
Yes. Eventually, we were joined by our resident house Jew by the name of Ketchup. Ketchup, not Hans. Ketchup. And he's also like a hardcore Dark Souls geeks, and he was just literally sitting there going, hey, I recognize that animation. Hey, that sound effects from Dark Souls 1, etc., etc. There's even the water. So Kyle found the ocean, and of course we were like, okay, you are never allowed to swim in Dark Souls games. Like, that just doesn't happen. So go into the ocean. And there wasn't a swimming animation. There wasn't even a sinking animation. He just fell off a cliff and died instantly.
It was funny, though. I mean, at least it was amusing. Not in a positive way, in which we're like, oh, the game's funny because it's you know, genuinely, like, done a good job here. It's like, no, it's funny because it's bad. You fall and your character just screams, and the scream is like this low budget, like, does not sound like he cares about falling.
And to be fair as well, like, here's the thing. Iteration is not necessarily bad. In fact, there's a lot of games that could do with a bit more iteration and a little bit less pointless innovation. There are quite a few games that have been doomed by trying too hard to be new and interesting and fresh and all of these dumbass things. But you gotta have a little bit of extra stuff. And no, I don't accept the open world part as the major new thing. Sure, it's Nito Cheeto and all, but it's open world in the same way that kind of the other games were. It's open world in that you have larger set piece areas, which you can move inside of freely.
You can still fight tougher and harder bosses, but the progression actually is relatively samey. After the stream, for those who were just hanging out, and after Barch went to bed, we were talking about it as I was streaming it, and it's very clear that it's actually fairly linear. Like, the whole open world side of it is more of like it's a gimmick. It's a good selling point because like you can explore, and if you're big on exploring and like, ooh, what's that in the distance? You want to go waddle over there? You can go waddle over there and see what that is. That is a nice thing because I like games that let you do that. But in terms of progression, the game is very much like, okay, you should fight this boss, and then you should do this thing, then you should fight that boss, then you get this thing, and then that's the sort of progression. So it feels like it's not like it really gained anything from its linear level design in Dark Souls 3, which was the only one I actually really played.
The chat also makes an interesting point there, saying Elden Ring is made for people like Vati who are unreasonably in love with the Dark Souls games. I can kind of see that. I can kind of see that, as it is, again, the Dark Souliest Dark Soul game I have ever seen Dark Soul. I can see it being for the super fans, but like it's their like fifth Souls game now.
I don't know why they
When
just
are
don't call
they
it
going to
Dark
move
Souls.
forward? And the thing is, too, Elden Ring was kind of marketed as if it was going to be something a little bit new and special, because they were like, oh my god, we have the cake that walks on this. He'll write a story for us. If the cake that walks wrote anything in the Elden Ring, he did so remarkably secretively, as I really haven't been able to identify a single element that was like, fatso.
He's talking about younger children, or he's talking about I shat in our egg. There hasn't been a touch of George R. R. Martin, though I have heard that he only wrote the God's lore, and so they paid him just to write a little background fluff piece just to get his name on the title. That's what it sounds like, but I don't know.
Just to have his name be there, it's like, the cake that walks.
Remember that failed author who made that show that, or helped make that universe for that show that bombed and no one remembers anymore? Yeah, Hero's here. It's like, wow.
Well, that's a little bit cruel, Kyle. He's not a failed author because he hasn't released a book in a few years now, so he's a failed just a person now.
Oh, gotcha. He just hasn't existed properly. Failed person.
He's just kind of, he's ceased being a thing for a little bit there.
That's okay. I'm sure he'll finish his book before he croaks.
Well. I was saying the same about the author of Berserk for a while.
Oh, no. No. That's true, you did say. No, actually, I think you're lying there, Barch. I remember when we first met and you were like, this guy's gonna die before he's finished.
He probably was.
And you were right about that, because he did. Oh, no.
I really do think, though, that the kind of the morals of this story is we should be expecting more from our video games. We really goddamn should. And we should be making less excuses for when our video games do dumb things, too.
Yeah.
Less excuses, more hammering home the points.
But to touch up on because I got this one, and you know what's interesting, right? Is how many AAAs we've had, right? To touch back to the point of what we said earlier, we've had a lot of releases this year, and like gaming at the beginning of 2022 looked really good. And with Elden Ring being disappointing, Total Warhammer 3 being disappointing, Halo Infinite being disappointing, Battlefield being way below disappointing, it's not a good year for the AAAs so far, at least in the sector that we're concerned in. It's just miss after miss after miss after miss. This is tragic. It has not been
a particularly great year for the AAAs, no. And that was despite having some real potential promise there, at the very least initially, as you mentioned. Like there was a lot of pretty big titles that were coming out with a lot of pretty good promise, very little of which seems to have actually materialized into anything.
Yeah, I found myself more interested in that new Holdfast update than I did anything else. I was like, oh, they're adding World War One, and then I'm like, that's cool. Meanwhile, like Halo Infinite and fucking Battlefield sitting there like, notice me. Like, meh, go away. Oh, sad.
The indies are dragging the wagon, which is nice and also sad at the same time because they have so much less resources. You'd really think they wouldn't be leading on anything, frankly.
But that's kind of the benefit of being indie. When you have less resources, you have to make what little you have count for that much more. Versus having unlimited, millions of dollars and where you spend it fruitlessly, like Elden Ring with wasting all those resources on George R. R. Martin for just a PR stunt when they could have spent that on perhaps, revamping some of the animations, perhaps adding some actual content to the game that might be interesting, or exploring a new
sound
thing.
effects, maybe.
Yeah, or recycling sound effects works too, whatever. But I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Am I right?
It's kind of like, it's almost a little theme parky. Like the company it's drunk its own Kool-Aid a little bit too much, and now they're thinking to themselves like, okay, if we just make the Dark Souls of Dark Souls, people will totes love us for it. And they're not entirely incorrect.
Yeah.
They're not entirely wrong. The Dark Souls of Dark Souls did fairly well. Though again, the mixed reviews is not a great thing. Not for a FromSoft game. Like, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens. Is there anything that can save us? There's really not a whole lot on the horizon either, honestly. Like, it's going to be
There's going to be a little bit of
dry year at this rate.
I don't really know what, like, there's a ton of indies on the horizon. There's that Nebulous Command game that everyone's talking about. That's apparently pretty fun. Arch and I are too scared to play it right yet. Warno
Pretty much.
has potential. Hold Fast is still swinging pretty hard. Else? Oh, Factorio's announced a new expansion pack. Oh, well, their first expansion pack. It'll be priced around $30. So that's interesting.
Imagine that, an expansion pack below full price. What a weird and revolutionary concept. I wonder if it'll work out for them.
They basically said that it's going to have the equivalent amount of content that the first Factorio had. So if it's got that much, like, I'm sold.
I hope they do something crazy like Factorio underwater expansion or something dumb. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I like dumb thumbs.
The only thing I saw on a little concept art piece that they had in the post was like a brain, and I'm like, that's weird, but okay.
Bioengineering something maybe.
Perhaps, maybe biological factories or something where they organs.
Biological factories.
I have no idea. I'm just spitballing here.
That's terrible, Kyle. It's absolutely awful. How dare you say
like
something?
The organs just flap and undulate. Ugh. It's kind of gross, actually.
Yeah, I disavow that, if nothing else. There are also... Alright, so let's touch upon this little list of things you made here, though, because there are some interesting things there. You mentioned Warno. Warno's, to its credit, Warno's is trying something new, and it's not necessarily receiving a lot of praise for its attempt at something new right now. I will say that much.
They do have a very conservative player base, though, so it's going to be hard for those boys.
Yes, and that is one of the dangers of trying to make something new as well. Like, you gotta balance the need for the new with the demands of the old, and there are many games that don't necessarily need all that much in the way of refreshers there. So that's an excellent example of it. Oh. Actually, let me read a couple of these first. Cryomaton sends one before the stream even begins, saying, recommendation to try Arknights before the NTR night event. I didn't know they had an NTR event. I actually did try Arknight for a while, but it is a bit too weird for me.
Well, you can consider Arch sold, because it's got NTR in it now. That sounds weird and very awkward.
You sound weird and very awkward. How dare you?
You're just mad because I'm right.
True. There are many, many benefits to NTR, but the problem is it's primarily that it's goddamn funny, and if I don't know if it'll be funny in a tower defense game.
Like, haha, your waifu got fucked. What are you gonna do about it?
Strange.
And all the incels will be like, "Ree!" Little tears. It's kind of funny.
Yes, I'm questioning the validity of this. I really am.
Yeah. The what event? Look, some people in chat, they're very Very shocked. This amuses me.
Shocked and confused. To be fair, maybe they should be shocked and confused at that rate.
Maybe this is some sort of meme thing. It's spelt like it, but it's not actually that.
It sounds like a meme thing, but I do not have enough knowledge about the event to know. We're just going to have to assume that it is true, and that Kyle will be NTR'd. Oh well.
Rude.
Worse things have happened, I suppose.
I mean, have they?
Well, Lack 1917 says, Quack and Hail Archchrist, our Lord and Savior. How did it feel to be a weeb Kyland? To be a weeb Kyle end? I'm confused. Weeb Kyle and? Ah, yes. How do it... Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god, my brain.
How did it feel to be a weeb, Kyle? And when can we expect to hear your hot take on Best Girl Waifu? I have syntaxed this correctly now, I believe.
Best girl waifu for what?
Overall, I guess.
Just in general? Fuck. See, I'm not really a weeb. I don't really have a waifu. Like, they're all kind of like they exist. Like, point me to a well-written one. There we go.
Well, if you're pointed to it, I feel like that would be cheating in this case. So no, you're just gonna have to come up with one.
I'm just gonna make up my own. Like, this is my waifu. Oh my god, Yandere Dev did that. That was something. I don't. No.
Okay, so it's Yandere-chan from Yandere Dev. That's Kyle's waifu.
Oh, that's so cringe.
Well, it's canon now, so eat it. Outraged Deer says, from what I can understand from my buddy at CA right now, there's a cold war between devs and suits allied with the GW. Doesn't Total War Warhammer overshadowing Old World? Doesn't want Total War Warhammer overshadowing Old World, I guess. And GW also doesn't want to flesh out smaller factions because cost for molds, which is bullshit. See, I can actually entirely see that being real. Because right now, CA is in a place where they've got Total War Warhammer, which is dum-dum level popular, probably a lot more popular than GW thought it was going to be, and they decided to kill off the older world. Like, they killed the Golden Goose. They wrung the Golden Goose's neck literally right before the Golden Goose laid the golden goddamn egg. That's what they did. That's what they goddamn did here. And now they're looking at CA going, God damn it. We wanted that. And CA, of course, wants to expand upon the lesser factions, because they're looking at China and going, we'd like to suck their peepees. Let's make a China faction. And they did. They did suck their peepees, and they did make a China faction. And despite the backlash for their poor PR, I'm sure it has paid off massively, because China is a huge market. And in fact, the reason why Total War Warhammer 1 was the best-selling Total War game ever, and probably still is to date, was because of the Chinese market. Like, you cannot underestimate the power of, like 3 billion Chinese people or something? Well, only like 1.5 or something, but it's
only a fraction of them will be into gaming, and a lesser fraction will acquire the game. But yeah,
yeah, but even then, like a fraction of 1.5 billion people,
a fraction of a fraction, mind you.
That's a lot of $60 purchases.
God, $60! Imagine charging $60 in the modern era. See, indies don't do it because they know better, and because if they did that, their nekus would be snappooed. And AAAs do it because they have the big name brand, so they can get away with whatever the fuck they want. And people will still buy it.
They will. And I can definitely see there being a lot of arguments there, because the thing is, too, Creative Assembly, GW does actually have a genuine problem with producing too much shit right now. And God tell me how. Like, I've seen the size of their factory. Like, I've seen the estimates. I've heard how many injection molding machines they've got right now. And when the Outer Circle was on here, we looked through this. I think they had like 300 employees working on this. How they are having a manufacturing problem they must have leveled up the incompetence stat through the roof. That is the only explanation I can come up with. There must be some legendary mismanagement going on here. Because and recently too, they actually froze production of a lot of their sprucers. They actually put a lot of them on hiatus and said, we're not going to make these anymore. They're going to be on a rotational stuff. So they're going to start rotating out models and then rotating in others because they've ran out of production capabilities. And I genuinely don't understand why. Like, it's an actual bafflement. They shouldn't. There's no way they should. But they are. And so if CA is making things that are new and popular, GW are in a bit of a derpy position where they want to follow the trend, obviously, but they can't. They don't have the production capabilities to do so. They don't have the writing staff to do so. And worse yet, right now, CA are the ones dictating the lore to Games Workshop.
They've been cooked by another company.
Yes, that is very much so what it kind of looks like. Like, they've been bent over a barrel and are currently introduced to the business end of a very large corporatized dildo.
CA's about to get creative on your ass. Get it their logo, but I changed the word at the end. That's good. Down 10.
I don't know about that.
GW being violated isn't a total loss.
No. There's also the fact that GW stocks are currently fucking falling through the goddamn ground. And whilst they're saying that this is totally a part of their plan, etc., you know they're panicking a little bit because COVID was such a gravy train for them, but they kept pretending that it wasn't. Like, oh my god, it's hitting our sales so bad, panic, oh. And then COVID is over and they're like, why did our online sales drop by like a tenth? That's it's unusual.
Everyone grabs their plastic, shoves it off the table, like, yep, time to live life again. Like, no!
Like, I need to go to work. Yeah, it's in a very weird position. Like, I bet you some groups within, and I can tell you too, right now, there are some very heavy-duty negotiations going on behind the scenes between GW and Creative Assembly, because I guarantee you, GW never thought that it would be this kind of success. The Total Warhammer would be this thing. Never in a million years. Because you gotta again remember, they sold the rights to the setting they were killing. They probably sold it for fucking pennies. They probably sold it for actual genuine fucking pennies, and they are very butthurt right now.
See, I can use that money to do what they've always wanted to do, and make the ultimate fantasy Total War. And you know what it is. It is yet to be announced, but we all know deep down.
Yep. I'm calling it right now. I've already called it on multiple occasions, and I'm right. And I will brook no dissent on this. But the next big Total War is gonna be Lord of the Rings. There you go. That's gonna be it, and you're not gonna be happy about it. I'm gonna call this further too. It's gonna be announced, and I'm gonna be like, okay, little excited. A little bit,
just a pinch, yeah.
And I'll even mention that I shouldn't be, but I'll still be because I'm an idiot like that.
Yeah,
and it'll just look worse and worse and worse. And it's like we decided to remove city battles entirely because a majority of our players are retarded and they didn't like it. Or something insane like, yes, we took out the campaign mode. It's just a skirmish game now.
The story actually follows the movies, and so it's linear. It's like, no!
Screw the movies, Kyle. The story now follows the Amazon Prime TV show.
Well, it can't follow the Amazon Prime TV show because it's a separate rights. Like, the only thing that were available, I think, that I saw was the video game. You know me, Snapple.
You little Carl.
They're not.
You're just like one of those misinformed little bastards here.
No,
I'm gonna have to beat your head.
No,
because you are right that they don't have access to like the book stuff.
They probably get the Peter Jackson film stuff.
Yes, they've got the right to all of the films. They've got the rights to the appendices. So. And the thing is, too, here's the thing. Here's the kind of clue that a lot of people aren't really catching on to. Because a lot of people are looking at this and going like, oh my god, that's so lol. They've only got rights to make expensive fan fiction. How stupid are Amazon? They're not stupid. You know what they're doing? They're making expensive fan fiction that will, for 98% of fans, now be canon. They're doing a Disney on your ass.
I'm
They're
not.
literally taking over the setting.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure that worked out even for Disney. A lot of people just rejected it. Even new generations just didn't latch onto it. It just sort of passed and was forgotten. Like that was the case. Like I'm sure there's always there's the simps they'll do it. There's always some people that will latch on, but by and large the Star Wars Disney movies resoundingly like aren't accepted by most people.
Well, most normies probably don't even know any better. And if they do, they will latch on to the hippie opinion. And this is what makes it kind of difficult to judge exactly the success too. Because the Star Wars fandom has managed to do what we need to manage to do with the Lord of the Rings show. And they've made it cool to dislike the Disney version. Like that's become socially acceptable. Like it's the hippie opinion. You know, the people who don't know better at a party, if you think these people go to parties, I guess. But it's hippie now, so it might happen. They'll be like, oh, yes, no, I totally preferred the prequels. Yes, you see, that was more George Lucas's spirit and such things. Having no idea what they're talking about.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there'll be some, but I think by and large, like, time will judge these things harshly. Including this show.
Time is a Disney property, okay? Time is a goddamn Disney property.
Yeah, but even so, like, they didn't really stick. Like, the Star Wars things didn't stick. Not in the same vein with what Disney made before. Sure, like, when Disney did, like, the original films for all those fairy tale things, those stuck, but those were actually genuinely good. Now, they just make bad stuff that doesn't stick. Like, like, I remember the Lion King movie with the CGI lions and stuff? Like, I saw that, it launched, it happened, and I never saw it again. Just like in the same vein of the Star Wars movies, the only thing that I heard talk about them was people that complained about them. I didn't hear anything else after the release, and I still don't hear anything. The only thing media I ever see about the new Star Wars trilogy is the last thing was that video called the Anti-Trilogy, where it takes it apart and basically just rips into it. Like, I haven't seen a single positive thing about that trilogy at all.
You don't need to. Like, the fact that everyone is talking about it, even if it's a negative, the fact that you almost can't talk about Star Wars now without bringing up how bad those are, like, that is a victory in and of itself for Disney. Now, the movies did not do as well as they would have wanted them to do, absolutely. Like, were they a commercial failure? They probably were in the long run. The movies made their money back, but, you know, that's not the point of Star Wars. The point of Star Wars is that it's going to be a cultural goddamn phenomenon because of how massive it is.
In this case, Star Wars wasn't a cultural phenomenon. It was a disaster. The toy sales didn't sell. Like, they were just full in the sales section, and they were piddly at that. Like, it just didn't do the merchandising. It didn't do well at all.
They didn't. And that was a big victory for our side of the fandom. And it's what we do need to try and do with Amazon as well. Bearing in mind that Amazon is, in many ways, a stronger enemy and in many ways a weaker enemy than Disney. Disney is more ubiquitous. Disney is everything. Disney is everywhere. They own half of your entertainment at this goddamn point. Amazon has been really struggling to establish their entertainment sector. Like, Amazon games have only gotten out New World, which is one of the worst goddamn MMOs ever at this point, and everyone hates it. And they've gotten out Lost Ark, which just isn't an Amazon product at all.
It's another game company. And they're working on sabotaging that one, too. Amazon just can't help but, like, make failures. Like, how can we fuck this up? You know they are right now. Like, they're already figuring it out. Like,
Maybe it depends, because I'm sure there's a lot of people within Amazon that are quite jealous at the success of Lost Ark. Because they were going to launch New World, and it's going to be the biggest thing ever, and it's going to be huge and earn lots of money and be revolutionary, la 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 la. And they put a lot of cash into it, a lot of marketing, a lot of research, and it just didn't work. Whereas this random no-name MMO from Korea, which was undoubtedly acquired as a backup singer, had huge market growth, huge market ownership, and it was on everyone's lips. And I guarantee you, Amazon are confused as shit about that. The question is, which one of those powers will prevail? The one that looks at Lost Ark and goes, huh, right, more of that. Or the one that goes, man, that wasn't supposed to happen. My thing was supposed to be popular. God damn it.
I mean, corporate politics have killed things before. In the case of Disney, the 2D animation side of their studio was brutally murdered with the, Treasure Planet movie. Because they sabotaged it internally with advertisement and bad timing. And just all around, there's so many signs. There was actually interesting studies into that, about the internal war between the CG department and the classic sort of 2D animation and advanced technology that they had there, like the Tarzan scene with like the vines where he's moving down. Animation wise, that's incredible. But like corporate sabotage is a big thing. The bigger the company, the worse it gets. Factionalism.
Absolutely. But again, like that is what Amazon is trying to do with the Lord of the Rings. They are trying to claim it, and they are trying to establish a separate universe that they then can base everything in. They will make movies in it, they will make TV shows in it, they will make games in it, and if you let them get away with that, Lord of the Rings, as written by Tolkien, will become a secondary property known only to neckbeards and enormous nerds like us. Literally.
That's why I do think it's important that people do discuss it. We had this conversation too. Yes. It's important to talk about it. It's important to talk about it. Because not talking about it is just as dangerous as buying it. In fact, it's actually more. Because the problem is it makes it acceptable. And for the normies, how are they going to learn this stuff? You need to tell them. You need to show them why. It's like the same thing with Total War. Remember how many times we've talked to people that are new, like in the case of V. Like, he just didn't know. And that's not his fault. He's new to the franchise. How is somebody like who's new to the franchise going to figure it out? You're going to have to show them.
Yes. And like I mentioned in my not boycott video, a lost sale for Amazon is nothing. Like, this is so much bigger than them trying to even earn money. Like, that's just not the point. They have more money than anyone can ever imagine. For them, it's about the future value of Lord of the Rings
not to
as
mention
a Amazon property.
The Prime thing, right? Because I'm a Prime member because I live out in the fucking sticks. And it's the only way I can get TV shows or movies out here without having to buy physical copies. And one thing that comes with that, right, is that you get the Prime shows, you get a bunch of free movies and stuff, like a ridiculous amount of content. What they're doing with this is promotional. This is a big promotional piece for the Prime Video section. Like, this is going to attract a whole slew of new people to get Prime, just to basically get them hooked. Even if the show doesn't work, I think that they're also using it to get people hooked into the Prime thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because as much as I would very much so like for Jeff Bezos to have a minor automobile accident on occasion, just enough to scare him, you know, we wouldn't want to be inhumane or anything. In Minecraft, of course, etc.
Yeah. You know, automobiles in Minecraft, right, Chad? Like, yeah.
I hope so now.
Whoa, right into the lava, no!
But Amazon Prime is a damn good offering. Like, I wish YouTube Red would do half of what Amazon Prime did. Like, it's good.
It's a remarkably good deal for what you get, and especially when it comes to just the Prime Video section. In terms of movies you can watch without having to pay a cent. It's like the Xbox Game Pass, or PC Game Pass is what Microsoft calls it now. The PC, right? Like, it for your buck, economically speaking, if you only play games once and you don't want to revisit them, economically speaking, that's a pretty good deal. Those subscription services for people that don't want to own things. Now, personally, I like to own things. I would like to have physical movies, but I don't have space. But yeah. Yeah, no, these are good economical deals. But that's just more or less how that works.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Now, granted, the fact that we have to sign away our immortal souls to Jeff Bezos' underground car park is unfortunate, but hey, you know, some sacrifices need to be made here and there. It's just how it works. Right, a few more super chat. Artemis Fowl says, late and gay. Only thing disappointing about Elden Ring is having to watch Kyle struggle to play it.
Leave me alone.
To be fair, like, maybe you got better afterwards because you then began. See, that's the thing. Whilst I was in the room, he was refusing to engage with any mechanics, and now I hear that after Arch went to bed, I actually started playing the video game, and suddenly it was less annoying.
I was like leveling up, and I switched classes to something that was more applicable to me, and I was like, wow, this game's a little bit more less insufferable. The leg, though, doesn't change my opinion. That leg happens in almost every boss fight I've ever tried, and 9 times out of 10, the leg is what
yes,
you
cannot have that kind of frame rate loss in a Dark Souls game. Like, it's just unacceptable.
And then
like,
just
it ruins the game.
That's quite cancer, indeed.
But we'll see. I'm sure gameplay wise, it'll be fine because it's the same game as the other 3 I've played. But yeah, that performance needs some big work, and I do not buy either, because this is a defense I see brought up frequently with not just this game but all games. Like, you can't before the game's launch, they'll be like, you can't complain about it, it's not out. Then it comes out, and you look at them and you're like, can I complain about it? No, it doesn't have patches yet. Like, oh, god damn it. See, like, they'll fix it. I don't care. It's the same. V unironically made this defense for me for Total War Warhammer, because I was like, it doesn't have workshop, it doesn't have multiple empires, it has half of the goddamn feet. But you totally patched those in though. Yeah,
it'll be patched in. It's like, okay, we're paying premium $60. You know what? I'm gonna give them benefit of doubt, because making games is it is hard, and a game like that, Total War, is remarkably complex. Even if they are experienced, there's so many things that could go wrong. And of course, there's going to be bugs on launch. That's fine. They can be patched. But the problem is the amount of bugs and what the bugs are, and like the unit pathing problems and everything else. God, the unit pathing when it comes to like the multi-layered things. I love the idea of the verticality of the maps, but God, the bridges, units do not want to use them. They're like, I'll take the long way. It's like, oh my god, please don't use the bridge, please. I
wasn't programmed to use the bridge, Kibbs. You know why?
Go around.
Because this is the same AI that never had bridges.
It's like, what bridge, boss? Go wrong way.
All right, we've punched upon poor Elden Ring enough, I guess. Even though it does deserve it.
We're talking about Total Warhammer. Actually, I think of all the disappointment swings, Elden Ring, I think, is the least disappointing. Well, but save for the broken launch, the lazy recycled items, at least it actually does what Halo Infinite doesn't, what fucking Battlefield doesn't, what Total Warhammer doesn't. As far as the 4 misses, it hit the ball. It just didn't hit like a home run or anything, you know?
Kind of skated off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit off.
Tanechniv says, if you had to join a Chaos army and have 4 choices, 1 for each of the 4 gods, which would you join? Tzeentch, because it's the safest.
Tzeentch is the safest? Are you sure about that?
Yes.
He planned to fucking throw your life away. Oh, according... See, Tzeentch is like the really lame anime god. He's like, adjusts glasses like, all according to plan.
I'll have you know that Tzeentch preempted those fucking things.
He's like, yeah, pretty much. And that was a part according to plan.
Keikakadori.
He's a weeb. He is a weeb.
Kyle needs to learn a little bit of weeb. He's sadly ignorant in most such cases.
I know Baka no Hentai Yamata. I'm learning more every day from Barch. Yeah, but the point is to say it wrong, and you say it Americanized. That way, when a Japanese person hears them, they just, like, their spine turns to jello. Like,
a little tiny piece of their soul goes away.
It's good. It's payback for Pearl Harbor. Still.
I did watch, there was that beautiful meme, I'm sure you saw it too, where they were talking about the war in Ukraine, and it was on MSNBC or some American news program, and they were showing pictures of a bombed out city and stuff, and in the middle of the report, it breaks in for an Applebee commercial, and there's super cringy ass music.
The Applebee's, you want some boobies. It's like, no. All
That
right,
was pretty beautiful.
you've seen enough.
I saw one of that for the Hiroshima, and I was like, yeah.
Hiroshima. Based Applebee's advertising even in wartime. Look, you gotta eat, man. Every time I've ever had chicken at Applebee's, though, I get food poisoning. I don't know if it's just bad luck.
Maybe you shouldn't have chicken at Applebee's.
I don't. In fact, I don't go to Applebee's because after the third time, I was like, all right, it's a sign from God. I'm gonna literally die next time.
Haha. Well, on the bright side, you learned your lesson eventually, I guess. That's something to be said for that.
Like they're trying to kill me. Uncooked chicken.
Well, they might not be trying to kill you specifically. They might just be trying to kill people in general.
Oh, well, eventually, it's going to start getting people at that rate.
Maranga 2 continues his baseless accusations and imputing our honor. Maybe he doesn't, actually. I didn't read the message. I'm just being vengeful from last time.
He probably is still salty about the Saga thing, if I had to guess. Am I right?
When I said you didn't read the rules of Saga, I meant to say before playing. You read as you went along, which is a bad way to learn to play, if you ask me. I agree that they could be written better. Okay, fair enough. He gets a pass.
But we've already talked about this Moringa 2. Why are you bringing it up again? He's like, I can't.
Specifying, Kyle.
He's like, I can't.
Specifying things are fine.
It's been months, though. It's been thousands of years. I'm kidding. I'm just doing it to fuck with him. I assume he's still here. He might have gone to bed, though.
Well, if it's been thousands of years, I imagine so, yes.
Possibly. Might be dead, actually.
Maranga 2 says, if you do try one last game and don't want my annoying self there, I can send you special rules for scenarios, such as Cattle Raid, where you steal your opponent's cows. But why would I want my opponent's cows?
I can tell you how this game is going to boil down to. I'm going to be like, Archer's units are there, I'm going to be like, I'm committed to a fight, and then I'll just keep fighting until all my guys are dead.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of those, like, we have different rules things. Most players just go like, yeah, but I could just try and kill
It was like with Rome 2, it's like, you need to take the city points, and I'm like, okay. And then meanwhile, I'm like, I'm going to fight to the death, though. I'm going to fight.
The strategy of the city point.
I don't really want to capture points. I just want to see my guys poke the other guys.
You are a simple soul, and you are happy with being a simple soul.
Basically, yes.
Basically, yes. Marked Ashamed sends a very generous $50 saying, creative industry in a nutshell, can't use poo emoji. We gave some 2 head a ton if money, then later they come back with 2, so then we sell that 2. If we sell a second load, we made a 2 ton more than we paid, and we tell the second head to give us more too.
I think this joke made my I think I've got some terminal organ failure.
Was it a joke? I didn't
I'm not
understand.
sure. That's why I say that. Because it's like, say it one more time. Just one more time. Maybe somebody in chat will get it.
I think it may just be a little poorly written out. Perhaps. I think he's talking about how they make a game and then people are like, okay, now make 2. And then they make 2 and people look at 2 and go like, well, this isn't like 1. And they bitch about it, but you expect to get twice the money, and so people are confused when you don't get twice the money. I'm presuming. In fact, I'm sure that's exactly what that was.
I just have a stroke, says somebody. I like the part where he says 2 equal poo.
2 equals poo.
He literally just said that. And everyone else is now saying it. Now that's a thing now. 2 equals poo. That's a math equation. You're welcome.
And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 equals poo in something somewhere.
I'm going to steal his work, his hard-earned equation, and I'm going to patent it.
2 equals poo. It becomes an international sensation, like that episode from Dexter where he learns how to perfectly pronounce omelette or something.
Yep. You know what's fascinating, right? Why did they put a smiley face on the poo? Like, who thought that was a good idea? Like, oh, it's a piece of shit, but like, let's put a smiley face on it. Wow! Like, now I'm bothered.
It's presumably to make it less offensive, I guess.
Oh, it's
I'm sure there's somebody
happy poo,
out there.
Huh? Get it?
Yes.
Poop, you poo head, huh? Oh god, that's cancer. That doesn't work.
Happy poo is better than angry poo.
It's angry.
You're just gonna have to live in it.
Look at the next update. The new poo emoji's got a fucking frown.
Mark DeShame says he had to get past the censors. To be fair, on YouTube, that is.
You gotta
Fair
do
enough.
what you gotta do. And just a reminder to chat. Switch over to live chat. Make sure you're not on top chat, because top chat is center chat and live chat is base chat. True.
Fine, that's not a problem. We like to censor people here.
Okay, I'll start doing that right now. You said it yourself.
Evil Potato says, I heard NTR, so I need to say it again. Nettori is better than nettorare. Doing the cucking is much better than being cucked, despite what Kyle thinks. Why does Kibbs like being a cuck? Question mark. Breed the fake gamer girl, anti-vax, ANCAP, cat trap. That is Kibbs.
Can you cuck
I feel
a
like
girl?
they've worked in the anti-vax part there pretty well, actually.
Who wrote that? Was that Draconis?
Evil Potato.
Bald Potato? Okay. Draconis has been working on his Chubby Bubby song. He sent me his newest lyrics. It's getting better. Like, it's starting the words, the lyrics starting to flow better. Like, that's being inventive. True.
Here's the thing. I agree. Doing the cucking is better than being cucked, but the Chad response is to simply just not identify with the genre at all. So regardless of its nettorare or nettori, you just sit there and go like, protagonist getting cuckolded. That's the Chad way.
We call that natural evolution, right?
Indeed, very natural evolution.
Getting rid of that filthy beta and replacing that with that Chad. What's the stereotype? Ugly bastard alpha. There you go.
There's a term for this, by the way. I've heard it. It's DILF, which apparently it's the opposite of MILF. It's dad I'd like to fuck. Now you know.
You know what's sad is I already knew this.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you are Kyle. I wouldn't be surprised if you knew that kind of
I
disgusting
thank
shit.
Twitter, and if you follow Panda, you'll find out things you wish you never knew. Never knew.
Black 1917 says, Arch, your problem with CA, Cathay faction, and Paddington China aside, you never answered my question yesterday. How fucked is Cathay removing any plot armor when the Skaven learn they have a desert worth of exposed warpstone for the taking? Well, that was a question on Child's stream.
Kyle's?
Child's stream. Very well.
Stream.
That was a question on Kyle's stream, and I make a habit of ignoring people who ask me questions there so that they'll give me money here instead.
It works.
Yes, you'd be surprised at how
But the best
effective
part
that
is he
strategy is.
answers most of them. But when it comes to Warhammer, Bart's like, meep.
Yep.
Actually, you somewhat did answer that there, actually. I don't think he was listening. Because you said that it's stupid and it didn't make sense, and that it shouldn't even work that way to begin with. Because
It is
they already
stupid, it
have
doesn't make
everything.
sense.
You said you did answer, and you didn't listen. Now you gave Arch more money for the same
Hello,
thing.
V. I'm still streaming, V.
Wait, what? Was he in here for a second?
V has been calling me frequently.
Oh. He must really want to talk about something. Oh, you know why? Little V Toski's like, how dare you free? How dare you dick? Or maybe V's under attack right now. Possible.
V might be under attack right now. Right. So where was I? Oh yes, the Skaven would invade. Obviously, they would have invaded years ago, because if this thing did exist and wasn't just a goddamn figment of Creative Assembly's imagination, they would have known about it years ago. Because the Skavens have had a presence in Cathay and in Nippon for goddamn thousands of years. Like, literally one of the first lost clans, 2,000 years before Sigmar, went to the east. There is no way they were like, there's a lot of weird green growing locks over there. Should we investigate? Nah, let's just keep going. I heard they had weebs over here. It's dumb. It's stupid. And it shouldn't be allowed to exist. And yet, it does exist. And it's CA's fault that it does exist. Nor Ison says, hello, Arch and Kibbs. Got myself lost technology because of your video. What is your opinion of Fields of Glory 2 and Fog Empires? Have you played Conquest of Elysium games? Gosh, so many questions at once. It is difficult for poor Arch to keep up with one, much less seven.
Good.
Fields of Glory 2 and Fog Empires. Fields of Glory 2 is fine, but my problem is it's just a skirmish game at that point, and I'm not super happy with it just being a skirmish game. It's like it's a cool rule set, and I like the way it's done, but I'd much rather they make Field of Glory Empires 2, because I like having a reason to fight. Like, I like having my armies be things that exist for extended periods of times, and I can have them on campaigns and seize territory and shit. That's what I would prefer. Conquest of Elysium. Conquest of Elysium.
Dominions. It's the other Dominions game.
Ah, that one. Yes.
Yep.
I have played it, and I've got a video on the latest one. They're cool in that they're completely batshit insane. One might even go so far as to call them Nito Cheeto, but that would be pretty cringe. Damn it. Jack the Outcast says, "Hey Larch and Breed Kibbs. Playing Elden Rings and having a blast. The only issue I keep running into is that I keep getting dropped during the boss fight after being summoned. Really annoying. Poo emoji was supposed to be chocolate ice cream."
Chocolate ice cream?
Yes.
The poo emoji's chocolate ice cream.
Yes.
If I type into this emoji search bar poo, and that comes up as poo, that's not chocolate ice cream. It says poo. What's the code for that? Is it poop? Yes, it's fucking poop. Go figure. That's not chocolate ice cream, and you're not fooling me. Good try though. You can type in ice cream.
That chat. If you remix it skillfully, that can be Kyle going like, "Is this chocolate ice cream? Is it? It kind of looks like poo.
There's the
sure
ice
it's
cream
chocolate
emote.
ice cream?" Then you work in some licking sounds. That'd be kind of funny.
That would be quite cancerous.
It'd be kind of funny, is what you mean to say.
See, there's different.
Mark Ashamed says, "Fire YouTube, stop. YouTube, help me. Cease whatever you're doing right now."
YouTube heard him. Hold him down.
Mark James says, "Firestorm for Renegade X is absolutely free, beyond all reason. Also free. Blue Drake 42 is showcasing a lot of indies, many free." Kyle did play Bar a little bit, and then he dropped it like a hot potato again because he grew tired of it, I guess.
What? That's not true at all. We played Bar and it was pretty fun. We got to do it again sometime. But the new Holdfast update just dropped for that other indie, and that's pretty good. And did you just say Renegade X Firestorm is out finally? Eyebrows raised.
Yeah, he says it's free.
Oh, well, Renegade X is free, but is the Firestorm update out? Because the Firestorm one is what turns Renegade X into basically Tiberian Sun. And that's friggin' amazing. Because we've been waiting for that for a while for a community event.
Find out, I guess.
I'll fucking Google it. Oh, damn it. All right, Google Renegade X. Better be out. These fat little developers taking their sweet time. Can't believe it.
Dragon Mage says, "Should I play Space Marine or Necrons? I have both." I'm presuming in tabletop 40k sense. In which case, you should obviously play the Necrons because, well, everyone else is going to play Space Marines. Do you want to be like everyone else? I didn't think so. You wanted to be a special snowflake, I can tell.
But why?
That is kind of the problem with Space Marines. They're a little bit too cool, so everyone plays them.
It's true. Oversaturation of anything. It's like when we were playing Divinity and we're like, wow, magic's kind of cool. And then we played more of it and it was like, wait, everybody has it. Nobody has magic anymore. It's no longer magic in this game. If everybody's super, then no one's super. Invincibles. Great movie.
Invincibles?
Yeah. You remember that quote?
You're gay.
Where everyone is super, and if everyone is super, no one's super. Because desaturates it. Takes it away.
Bogdan Ionut says, "When Chinese mobile gachas look innovative, that really says a lot about the industry. Kind of does. Genshin Impact is a revolutionary video game, Kyle. Do you understand what that means?
Genshin Impact. I mean, in a way, it is. Actually, speaking of mobile gaming is actually on a good path. If the Steam Deck is successful, which I hope it is, hopefully it'll make that mobile gaming standards go up. And if that goes up, that's good for the rest of us. Because it means that mobile games we'll have to finally actually have quality to them. Pretty cool trailer, by the way. I sent it to you. I have the auto disabled because I don't know if it has copyrighted music.
Is it a pretty cool trailer, or are you lying to me?
I mean, considering it's a free game, and it looks better than 90% of what we have right now. Renegade X is actually pretty good. The only thing I'll ever criticize about it is it has the same Renegade gunplay as Renegade, the original. And the gunplay I always thought was kind of floaty.
Floaty. I condemn Kyle's vague.
Wait, did I say the Invincibles?
Criticism.
I meant the Incredibles. Reap.
The
Happens to the best of
Incredibles.
them.
The Incredibles?
Yeah, Incredibles, the movie.
Incredibles.
The first one's good. The rest is garbago.
You're confusing me now, and I don't like it.
Oh my gosh, you haven't seen that movie?
I wish you'd stop confusing me. Black917 says, factoring in marketing and production budgets, Disney made millions at best. No one's really buying any of the merch. Even for the good characters, the High Republic series is a failure. That's true as well. And now, for a lot of companies, making millions would be pretty good. But for Disney, making millions is not good enough. Fortunately, however, they have found a way to turn a failure into success, you see. They decided that we're going to make a gamble. We're going to take a chance here, you see. We're going to look at humanity and we're going to say to ourselves, what is this species? And they came to the conclusion that we're a bunch of complete and utter retarded morons. And they were proven absolutely correct, as their new Star Cruise, whatever the hell thing, has launched, and it was sold out. It was sold out of $6,000 tickets. It was full. It was full. I want to repeat, it was full, Kyle. Kyle, do you understand? Do you understand how doomed we are as a species?
Wait, what? Oh, doomed we are. I thought you said dude VR. I was like, dude VR.
Dude VR.
Like, okay. What kind of crack are you doing? Coke, in the case of some people in chat. True.
Disney has found an alternative way of monetizing their Disney IP. Stupidity. And hey, I mean, it's certainly a way to do it. God, I've been watching some of the just clips on Twitter of that, and it looks so genuinely, thoroughly, painfully cheap. And yet it's also full. Like, there are so many people there. And granted, a bunch of them are paid shills as well. You know, YouTubers and Twitterers and TikTokers and people who get free access and therefore will say whatever that you need them to say. Because they've gotten $6,000 worth of stuff for free. Tends to be a pretty good motivation to say whatever your overlords wish you to say, as it turns out.
Yeah. Does help when you get free game, free access, early access, and money.
There was this beautiful picture of a lady holding her children, and they were like, "Oh my God, we were crying at the end." And you know what? To be fair, 6-year-old me would probably be orgasmic about something like the Star Cruise, because 6-year-old me would have no understanding of what $6,000 look like. Like, he would just be like, I'm on a vacation. Look, there's Luke Skywalker. Oh, no, it's right. Oh, well,
actually,
I guess.
As a kid, like, the only thing that got me for Star Wars was the original trilogy, the aesthetic of the original trilogy, and the prequels, specifically the parts of the Clone Wars movie, because it was kind of boring, and Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith being my favorite prequel, still to this day, but I don't think that's too uncommon. Like, the aesthetic of those, like the droids, the clones, that sort of, like, aesthetic. The one thing is, looking at the Disney Cruiser, the more I think about my younger self, past Kibbs, right? the more I begin to think, like, I don't think I would want to be on that. Like, if I just saw the name, yeah, it'd sound cool. But, like, after looking at the pictures, it doesn't even look good as even Star Wars. Not even, like, the new stuff. It just looks cheap, doesn't it? Like, it looked bad. So overpriced.
Again, you're thinking about price, though, and younger Kib wouldn't understand what price was.
You wouldn't understand price, but I remember going to Disneyland younger and being disappointed, too.
Then again, younger Kibs was literally yesterday. See, for me, younger Arch is a distance of time. For Kibs, it's yesterday. Like, yes, toddler Kibs was tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We have yet, apparently I'm a little infant in a fucking crib or something. I don't even know.
You're Benjamin Button. That was a very boring movie. But such is life.
Doubt.
Still, they did succeed in taking up a huge part of the fandom, and that is kind of the key takeaway there. The fact that they are now dictating their own law. Stefan West in 1991 says, how about that the two of you played through Life is Strange and told us about the experience?
Ooh.
Kyle, you do that.
Give me money and I will.
Didn't you already play through one of those goddamn games?
Hell no. I look at those games, I'm like, ugh. Like, the only way chat is, like, my audience is gonna get me to play something like that is if they pay me. And a lot of money. I am not playing that. Not for free. Are you kidding me? That's like cancer. That's like hot cancer and putting it in your computer and then injecting it into your veins. Like, no. Everything has a cost in life. And my even price is too high for that piece of shit.
See, I don't know. You played a lot of very dumb things for relatively small amounts of money. I think you could be talked into it.
Relatively small amounts of money, says Arch. Meanwhile, Arch like $100 blows his nose with a $1,000 bill. He's like, peasant.
That's what I mean. Now, I'm not saying that Kyle wouldn't be an excellent prostitute, because I think he would be. He absolutely would be. He's willing to do the down dirty for, again, when he's paid for something, he'll get in there, no matter how horrible the orifice might look like.
That sounds quite horrifying.
It's an admirable trait in, well, professional prostitution.
We are playing Zomboid Rebura. It's true. Rebura. Look, he's a sad cat. Bro.
Kibs played Fortnite.
We did.
He did.
For price. And
IDW says Life is Strange and Fire Warrior. That's true. You will play Fire Warrior, but somehow Life is Strange is too much for you.
We've beaten Fire Warrior like 3 times. We're not going back. It's Arch's turn. It's Arch's turn.
Arch isn't dumb enough to play that game.
It's a Warhammer game, Arch, from the Tau's perspective. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. No, it's the Tau.
Shut up, Arch. Play the game. Don't be a bigot.
Now, to be fair, I remember seeing that game in stores when I was younger, and I was just like, the fuck? Why the Tau? And then I just moved on. I was never really in any danger of going like, oh, I'll totally buy that. No, even back then, my bullshit filter was strong.
The game's cover art doesn't look very good. It's one of those cheap CG cover arts where it's like some bad 3D model like on top of a bunch of skulls. And you know it's like being edgy. And I remember seeing that game being like, eh. And then like I think I grabbed Robotech Invasion or whatever instead. Which is a much better game, mind you. Significantly so.
Well, that aside, Kyle, that being besides the point and irrelevant, we've talked about our things, and we're not going to talk about Ukraine this week. We'll maybe do Ukraine next week, because a lot of shit is happening, and it is very interesting. And I do love to talk about military stuff, but we should have a little bit of separation here, because real life nonsense and all that. Plus, there's a lot of stuff that we just simply don't know yet. So maybe next week. Alternatively, next week, I might force Kyle to watch the Lord of the Rings superfan thing, excruciating minute by minute by minute.
No. You have better things to do, Butch. Don't be a
don't.
You do, don't it?
We might even get like Fairman on, and we'll have him live translate the German one for us,
Oh
just
god,
word for word.
they have a German version.
Oh, they've not just a German version; they've got an Italian one and a Spanish one as well.
Okay, that might be kind of funny to do the German one because he'll cringe because he can't.
Yes.
He'll have to understand it.
And the German one has a cave troll in it, which is quite impressive.
Ooh, spicy. How come that? Oh, the person. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, they did like a unique stuff for them. That's kind of interesting. No,
Yeah.
cave troll, as in that's one of the fans.
They brought a cave troll. She takes her shoes off. It's brilliant.
Wait, she takes her shoes off during the watch session.
She does. Yeah.
The worst part about these super fan things is they're just watching the trailer of the show. Like they're not watching,
Yes.
like they've seen the first pilot episode and they're like discussing what they saw in the pilot episode, but they cut out any sort of like, you know, spoilers. And they, on top of it, to top that off, these alleged super fans aren't even fans. Some of them haven't even read Lord of the. If you want to be a super fan of Lord of the Rings, and they're like, oh, but we watched the Peter Jackson movies and we love the. That's not Lord of the Rings. Like, you need to have read the actual books. If you haven't read them, you're not even a fan to begin with. And oh my god.
Don't be worried. Don't worry. I don't think most of them have seen the Peter Jackson movies either.
They probably don't even know those. I mean, they might have seen the Hobbit ones. Maybe that's why I think what it is. All the glamour.
The best ones I can recall off the top of my head was one person who was like, right, so the trailer was really like magical and shit, but we could need some more action. I'd like to see Nazguls fight a dragon. Yes, I would like to see Nazguls fight a dragon too in Numenor.
Also, super fans who care about the lore and the accuracy want to see Nazguls fight dragons.
Yeah, in Numenor. I think this is fine.
Isn't this a little bit before Nazguls even existed? Okay,
shut your whore hole.
Because as far as I'm aware, like, I'm pretty sure they don't exist at this point in... Well, no, wait, they could because it's the fanfic. They can literally write whatever they want. It doesn't even matter. Silly me.
That's true. The Nazguls could be Nazguls before they were Nazguls. They could be Schnazguls.
Schnazgul. That was good.
That could even be the name of an episode. Rise of the Schnazguls.
Rise of the Schnazguls. The proto-Nazguls.
the proto. Oh god, you nailed it. That's how they're gonna get the Nazguls in. They're gonna be proto-Nazguls.
They'll be like, oh my god, if we called that, you know, it's time for Amazon to give us all reparation money. Like, that's...
Proto-Nazguls. The Schnazguls.
Don't worry, the Nazguls were black and trans. And cheese.
Oh, one of the kings of men will be black. Like, I call that now.
He'll be like,
that's just happening.
I know I'm, you know, one of the descendants of Numenor. So wait, Numenor is a thing in this show, isn't it?
Oh, it's set in Numenor, as far as we can tell.
Oh boy, I bet Numenor is going to be a very diverse nation state.
Very diverse.
I bet they're going to make the mistake of making the black Numenorians black, despite them not actually being black.
Of course, because they're going to see black and they're going to go like, oh cool, these Numenorians were very diverse. No, it means they're evil.
So is the kingdom of, like, is this set in the Rise of the Witch King, the kingdom of Arnor? No, that's a different age.
No. Kyle, now you're being a ginormous.
I'm trying to remember where, like, what is this supposed to be allegedly set in? Like, where?
Oh, this is Second Age.
Second Age. Yeah, but the kingdom of Arnor. Okay, never mind.
It was way before any of that. This is before Numenor goes into the sea, and presumably it will be set around the events that sees Numenor sink.
Sinky.
And it'll be with Sauron helping them make the rings, and it'll be Isildur's sister who will be the only one who'll look at Sauron and go, I don't know if I believe him. I think he might be up to something. And all of the men will just surround her, and they'll laugh in synchronicity, like it's some kind of bad commercial. Like, silly woman, can't you see he's reformed?
He's just made a slight mistake.
Nothing to punish him for, but he's making rings. Can we really trust him?
I kind of want them to go the even cringier path and be like, go to Sauron and literally have her like do the sort of like Kylo and Rey romance thing and just make it really cringy.
Oh god, I would kind of like that too.
That'd be really
like
bad.
Sauron isn't actually evil; he's misunderstood, and it's the cruelty of men that drives him evil. Yes, yes, because someone will kill Isildur's sister, and she'll die in his arms, and he'll go no at the sky. Yes, let's include every other setting in this. Let's do it.
Oh my god, this is the sinking of Arnor. That's gonna be, or not Arnor, sorry, goddamn Numenor. God damn it, I get the names mixed up. Reap. It's gonna be funny. It's gonna be bad.
To Kyle, he's such a failure for Superfan. They
I'm not a
shouldn't
super
hire.
fan.
They shouldn't hire Kyle for this either.
Well, they shouldn't. They should hire actually well-versed people who know the books like the back of their hands.
Ah, you mean, okay, well, they did that, Kyle. They hired a Lord of the Rings professor. She's a they, them, and she has a side degree in gender studies.
Ah, so she probably has never read Lord of the Rings, and if she has, she hates it and wants it to subvert it.
See, that's the thing. A lot of these Tolkien scholars, like, they've actually read Tolkien, but they've read Tolkien in that interpretive way. She's got a quote where she's basically saying, like, you see, Gollum was a black person. And you're like, what? And like, oh, no.
What?
See, I've got this quote here from the book saying that Gollum was skulking in the shadows, and he was dark as the darkest night.
But that's referencing to... Oh my god.
No, Kyle. That's not referencing the fact that it's stealth, Kyle. It's referencing his black skins, Kyle.
These are like those weebs that overread into Evangelion, where they're like, oh my god, like all these deep meanings and stuff. Meanwhile, the show's creators like, so like we ran out of money, so like I made biblical references because I thought they were neat.
Yeah. We had to skip the part where they fled Earth in a spaceship because it was a bit too cringe.
We ran out of money, and like, so I just put biblical references in because I thought they sounded cool. Meanwhile, people are like, it's the deep complexity of this reference.
Chat says she's not a professor, she's just a PhD researcher. I think PhD researcher means professor, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm
crazy
confused.
Templar. Not so crazy anymore, are you?
That's the problem, Kyle. You're like, they just need to get the experts on. Yes, the experts. The experts have already been fucking screwed over and captured, Kyle.
They're not even, these aren't the people that read it. These aren't the
by
fans.
Experts, Kyle, you mean Bubbles and significant neckbeards just like masturbate harder.
Yes,
that's
Bubbles is
mean.
a neckbeard, and Bubbles would be a far more prudent fat neckbeard than anyone else.
Prudent neckbeard.
Yeah.
Prudent.
Round. Tubular.
The problem with Bubbles is he would also be the cave troll, I bet you.
Yeah, if the cave troll was lanky and long.
He'd be put in the German version just because. Like, hold on, I don't understand what these other people say. Like,
He's just standing there staring awkwardly. Look, a confused puppy.
Like, I don't understand why they brought me here.
Why am I here? Am I gonna get paid?
Get home.
He just woke up here. Oh my god. There's no idea.
He wakes up in Mallorca. There's just a bunch of those. There's the creepily smiling interns around him. You know, the extras. Like, hi, how can I help you today? Bring me home, please. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt me.
I'm a delicate bubble.
Good. Here, hold up your phone. I don't have one. Hold up your phone. And now smile at the trailer. Look how big the screen is. Ooh.
If you smile, you'll maybe get to go home. Maybe.
That was a genuine point of quote unquote critique, by the way. There was one of the German influencers. The German influencer spent 5 minutes going like, oh my god, the screen was so big and they had like a sound system and stuff. I'm like, just
wow.
My god, what is wrong with you?
Like, they had a TV and we watched it and like there were speakers.
It was large.
And we sat in chairs. The sound
really reverberated in my little schnauzy bones.
Oh my god. And they turned off the lights so we could see it better? It's like, wow.
He did. He mentioned that they made it dark. I'm not fucking kidding.
Oh my god, like what? Like, even the simps can't even make stuff up, so they're just like, and then they
looking
like
at
paid
the goddamn
us.
Screen.
And then they paid us to say these things, and you know what? That's pretty cool. Like, I'll do it again.
It's pretty based.
I'll do it
I'm willing to repeat my performance.
as many times as necessary. And as many
Oh,
maybe
God.
even more.
One of my commenters actually had a beautiful take on that, which they put in the video. Like, because I'm presuming the person was German, because he was just listening to him talk about how big the screen was, and he's just like, man, when this person learns what a cinema is, his mind's going to be blown. Oh. Right. I was going to wrap up there, but then Carl distracted me.
True.
Borg says, talking about VTuber drama, make him suffer. No, we're going to do that the next Zomboid stream. We're going to talk about VTuber drama then. Because then you can tell me about the VTuber drama. Because the only VTuber drama I know now is Arusha getting yeeted, which it just again confirms everything I've said about this whole HoloLive and VTuber garbage. It's the idol industry. It's awful. And these people, these VTubers, they live on a knife's edge, and if they open their mouth in a fashion that is unpleasing to their overlords, yeeto delito that Cheeto. Nice and simple. Sentinel Rex says, ah yes, Sauron, the misunderstood hero. I will gag. The left identifies with evil. That is why they love villains. Look at the entertainment they like. I would just love it if Sauron could be gender confused, like that. Add that on too. Just have him be really confused about his state position in the world. Like, I don't know if I like men. Like Isildur kind of turns me on weirdly. Their final fight scene isn't actually a fight scene at all. It's Sauron trying to confess his love to Isildur as Isildur hacks at him. Like, he wasn't reaching out to kill him. He was reaching out to ruffle his hair and be like, Isildur, I always loved you.
Isildur, I just wanted to be with you. And then Isildur's like, I know, but we can't be together because of the, I don't know, the male patriarchy.
Like, we can't love one another. Ah, cuts off his fingers.
That's why I didn't throw the ring. Like, Axel's tears, like, I love him. And the ring's
Yes, that's why he couldn't throw away the ring. Like, he turns around, he looks into Elrond's eyes, a single tear rolls down his cheek. I really loved him. And then he walks away.
And then he's like, throw it into the fire, because Elrond's actually gay too, and also is secret lover of Isildur. It's oh my god, it's a love triangle. No!
Oh, yes. You have to throw away his love or I'll never have sex with you again.
It's like, okay.
Oh no, that elf peen though. It's so small and delicious.
What?
I'm imagining Elrond as the twink in this relationship.
Elrond is the twink. He's the jealous twink who stole Isildur from him. So
he's probably the one who framed Sauron too.
Oh, this gay fanfic. It's great. I think we can package it and sell it as the second season.
In fact, I believe that if we could make an animation out of this, I believe we would gain many months. However, we can't, because we still don't have a fucking animator.
True.
But the Lord of the Rings gay fanfics is definitely something that we need to go with. Oh, Arwen isn't born yet. Arwen is somehow the secret love child of Elrond and Isildur and Sauron. Yes, somehow this is real. And and Sauron is reborn as Aragorn's baby. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
the satisfactory yes, the sureness of it. Yes. I'm excited.
This needs to be a thing.
Oh my god, I hope it's a train wreck. It's gonna be great. It'll be almost like watching a comedy that the show doesn't realize it's a comedy, but everyone else knows. I'm sold.
I look forward to it. I greatly look forward to it. I hope Sauron is black too. Like, they have that scene where he's been captured and dragged to Númenor, and they pull off his hood, very dramatic like, and just Idris Elba's underneath it, and there'll be dramatic music to the background of me rolling on the floor laughing.
Idris Elba is underneath it. You know what they need to do? They need to do that really bad musical trope that's popular in cinema now, where they do the womp when they pull it off.
It was Idris Elba all along.
What's this, a Scooby-Doo episode? Where they demask the villain at the end. All right, gang, let's see who committed genocide this time. Idris Elba. Oh my god.
I would have got away with fucking Trudeau's wife too if it wasn't for these damned kids.
These damned kids. Trudeau's wife in the
At
background.
which point the Scooby Gang just puts his hood back on and walks away quietly.
It's too dark even for them.
Right. Now, unless, yes, good, okay. Now, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon with the Skaven RP tomorrow and more ArchCast next week. Until then, thank you for watching, thank you for your generous super chats, and have a good day.